Hey, it's Philip. I'm going to be talking about big data as well as how it changes our lives. So, to help me out, I prepared a transcript as well as some citations. If you want to read those, they're in the video description. Regardless, I'm going to jump into this week's topic about how big data subtly affects our general lives and autonomy. I think it actually brings into question about how applications of it are changing modern learning and choice. Consider how we learn about the current events. Stories covered by major news outlets are powered by trends in big data. Over the past few years, Twitter has become journalists' favorite reporting tool for breaking the news. So much so that Axios coined the site the nerve center of the American news cycle. And because the platform is an open doors environment where anyone can view any tweet, well, there has to be some methodology for how certain posts rise to the top and get covered in the evening broadcast. As a big data company, Twitter is a goldmine of user data, and they know exactly what turns turnover of the users. So if they can provide content that keeps the users on their site, then whatever that media is, they will promote it, as evidenced by who they give special permissions to. And the same philosophy applies to other social media giants in the big data business. Take Facebook, who was once again put on the spotlight, but this time for prioritizing misinformation, and that drives percent daily active users and screen time over the truth. According to the Washington Post, misinformation on Facebook got 6 times more clicks than factual news during the election. So epistemically, this is extremely harmful to the trustworthiness of the knowledge that we can acquire on the internet. In addition, we can imagine that whatever algorithms they use to show us the news actually reduces diversity of thought. So this is a multi-pronged argument because in the way that certain stories rise to the top, it follows that they're going to be the most read, viewed, and shared. And if any given content can fight for a spot on users' feeds, then it's clearly changing or at least affirming beliefs on that topic. As more people learn and adopt that viewpoint, then the narrative becomes one-sided. Now, let's take a look at something else. Outside of the news, as an example of how big data changes how we learn and interact with the world, Amazon dynamically performs inventory adjustments and does almost the same thing. In achieving their package delivery speeds, they have a series of indicators that let them know which warehouses to stock certain goods and when. So, they increase inventory of certain items in certain situations. Take an example of a yearly rainy season in the Midwest combined with tens of millions of entries for sales of an associated item in that region during that time of year. Umbrellas and windshield wipers would be stocked in nearby houses far in advance, and I'm talking about warehouses. So naturally, this forward thinking does influence consumers. And when they see an item that they need is cheap, currently in high demand, and can arrive overnight, then who has the power in this scenario? Was it the consumer who saw a deal and exercised his wallet, or was it the big data giant that pushed the consumer into purchasing those items online rather than in person? Well, I would argue that Amazon was the driver of action, because if the item was out of stock, took multiple days to arrive, or had high costs due to distance, then the customer could not or would not have placed that order. So, big data powered e-commerce taught and conditioned those users to go to them for their needs. Well, those were just 2 quick examples of how big data powers our daily lives, as well as the way we learn and interact with the world. And there are more ways that big data can be used, not in a strictly business sense. So if you have any of those, let us know, or let us know about anything that I mentioned in this video.